Test 1. Listening. Part 3. Exam practice. You'll hear 5 people talking about family trips to stay in a house by a lake. For questions 19 to 23, choose from the list A to F what each speaker says about their trip. Use each letter only once. There is one extra letter which you do not need to use. You have 30 seconds to look at part 3. Speaker 1.
I'd imagined before we left that staying by a lake would be like being at the beach, although, as it turned out, a lot of the water sports that my family had planned for us all were out of the question due to the weather. So, instead, my cousin, who's older than us and works as an archaeologist, took us for a walk along the shore and showed us where to find fossils. We came back with several. And because all our rooms were so big, my sisters and I proudly displayed them for the rest of the family to see and talk to us about.
Speaker 2.
My parents had arranged for me and my brothers and a friend to go to a lakeside house with my uncle and aunt in a remote location. My dad volunteered to drive us, fine by me as I love long car journeys, but he found it tiring. Anyway, I'd been wondering how so many of us would fit into the house. I need my own quiet place sometimes, so that I can think and read and stuff. But it wasn't an issue in the end, as we had bedrooms to spare. The only real problem was how far we were from the local shop. Getting there turned out to be me and my brother's job, on bicycles.
Speaker 3.
I'd been desperate to try some water sports, so a stay by a lake was perfect, as there was the chance to go windsurfing. My performance was pretty awful, but then I was only a beginner. Anyway, my older brother and sister said they'd come with me. They're away at university a lot, so it gave us the chance to chat, and that really made the trip worthwhile for me, especially after our really long journey to get there. We even drove the car onto a ferry at one point. I missed my friends a bit while I was there, but it wasn't long before I was back with them again.
Speaker 4.
Our holiday house by the lake was huge, just as my dad had promised, and the views across the lake were spectacular. I'd taken my camera so that I could get loads of photos for my school project. Apart from that, though, there wasn't a lot going on. We had to travel 30 minutes by car along a really bumpy road to get to the nearest town, which turned out to be full of restaurants. Mum and Dad were delighted, but it wasn't my idea of a perfect holiday. I did get loads of photography done, though. My friends were really impressed when I got back to school.
Speaker 5.
The house that my parents had booked seemed in a really good location, but what they hadn't mentioned was that we'd have to leave our car on one side of the lake and go across by boat. It was windy as we left, so everyone wondered how it'd be on board, but it was fine, and once we'd arrived, it was really quiet with no cars around. The downside was that we didn't have close neighbours with teenagers I could have met and hung out with. Anyway, I'd taken loads of books and films with me, so it was okay. My family and I just sat and chatted instead of rushing around.
Test 1. Listening.